organist. So I'm going to break this down to 4 different segments today. And you all should get something out of this very easily, because we're really not going to have to be good players to sound good. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about, and Sean, you might have a sheet there that's called general presets.
Yep, I got that right here. You want me to put it up?
Okay. If depending on the size of your A organ, you should have either 4, 6, 8, or 10 of what we call general presets. General presets were the traditional organ sounds that Lowrey created way back in time. And what they wanted to do was duplicate 5 types of organs: a popular, a theater, a church, a jazz, and a classical. And actually, as I go through, I will point out the ones that are popular and ones that are. Now, without you doing anything but just push the easy play button, and you touch one of these presets, which are called general presets, okay? They will give you just traditional organ sounds. And actually, the organist that they copied was Frank Renault, and I'll get to that when we get to the Bank presets. Frank Renault was one of the first concert artists way back in the early 60s and 70s, and I will talk more about him as we go along. So if you just want to have a nice, sweet organ sound, you push number 1, and you're going to have one of the sweetest organ sounds played so that you can play it. So if you just want to sit down and say, hey, I would just like to play a song in practice, I love that number 1. It's called a sweet Lowrey sound. Number 2 is a pipe organ. Now the pipe organ is really cool because it really will sound like a pipe when you play it. Now, you can control that, and here's what people forget about. You have a speaker system that's in here called fast and slow. It was in the old days called Leslie. So if you look all the way over to the left of your organ, you'll see some things that are called a vibro, tremolo, chorus. If you see it on slow, you can control the speed of it. And listen to this. So you could slow it up or speed it up. And this is how you can play some really nice church and classical music. Okay, everybody? The camera's over here, and I'm sorry, I've got to turn it over here. So these 10 presets are all in front of you to play without touching anything other than hit that presets. And if you have a great window, which is really the key, push number 4 in your custom. Push number 4 in your custom, and you will have it displayed for you in the window. Okay?
Yes.
All right?
Yep.
There they are. Look at how beautiful those are. General presets. So now you should pick the ones you like to play. The one that I like is that number 4, which is symphony. I also like the theater one.
Definition.
Okay. We're going to come back to that. So that's our general presets.
Audio, and the one below it is.
I've got too many things going on here, folks. I apologize for that. Okay. Can you hear me all right? Sean, are we okay?
You're okay. It's just echoey because it's coming through your computer and not through the microphone.
Okay, I will talk a little slower. Okay, folks. All right. So remember, if you just want to play nice organ, you want to hit the number.
Joe. Pause for 1 minute, please. We're having a little technical thing and I'm having art. Folks, if you could bear with me for a minute. Just play a little something background very soft for a minute while I'm trying to resolve this, because you're not coming through the microphone. You're not coming through the microphone right now. So I'm trying to figure that out with Art. Okay, Art?
Yes.
Okay. Everything you say, they're going to hear, by the way. so don't say
Right.
anything. On the audio thing, you have the audio plug. What do you have? Do you have one that says on the microphone, built-in microphone?
There's one that says microphone, definition audio, and behind it is Relec mic.
Pick the other one. Which one is checked? Built-in microphone? What's
Yes.
the other two not checked?
Microphone.
Pick that one.
USB.
USB. Okay. Now on the speaker, what does it say? Is there one for USB in the speaker? Is there one for speaker? Does it say USB? Tell them I'm talking to the microphone.
Are we doing any better?
Even worse.
Testing 1, 2.
Go to the audio.
Hello?
Okay.
All right, we're still holding, folks. Don't go away.
It says microphone, test mic, and the other one has microphone, mic, MIC, USB. Okay. Yes.
Testing 1, 2. Testing. Can you hear me okay? Testing 1, 2.
He's going to do it without the microphone.
Okay?
Teacher class, everybody. You don't need the microphone. Just it's running out of the computer. So just go ahead and continue. Without the microphone. You do not need the microphone. Okay.
Don't need the microphone?
And switch the audio back to that original one that you had on first, not the USB one, because it doesn't sound very good. It sounds worse.
Can you hear me?
We'll just continue.
Okay. All right, better?
Yeah, that's better. So we'll deal with that. So just
All right.
just be nice and loud, okay?
Hello, my goodness gracious. Got to get the camera over a little bit. So anyways, everybody heard what I was talking about, and we showed, first of all, folks, and I apologize for the audio stuff. Anyways, my wife says she doesn't want to hear me anyway, so I guess that's what happened today. So anyhow, when we play, just want to make it simple. And all of the A series are really great because they have the best organ sounds that you could ever have, from all the way up to what I'm playing on now is the symphony. So in that regards, so in, yeah, so I can talk. Okay, the next group that we're going to do is called bank presets. Bank presets, if you got that. Now, this is something you're going to have to do if you want to use bank presets from what it did in the factory. You're going to have to reset the organ totally. If you put stuff in these A, B, C, and D, and E, you can't use what was originally put in there. And these sounds were really great. That's why you have a USB, so that you could capture that. But don't leave them in the A, B, C, and D banks. The one that is so great is the A bank. And the A bank And if you want to see what's in there, you have a custom area that over to the left, that if you push the number 4 custom, it'll display for you all of the organ sounds that are in there. And there's the A bank. This is really the greatest bank of sounds ever created by Lowrey. And once you memorize and put something in there, they're gone. So for you to use these sounds, you have to clear the banks. Now, the first one, when you just touch A, it'll say F Renault. What the heck is that? Well, believe it or not, Frank Renault was one of our first concert artists. He traveled over how many thousands of miles for Lowrey all over the world playing. And I happened to come across, folks, and you might love this. Frank Renault, Seth Rye, and another organist by the name of Lanny Davis did a recording on the Lowrey organ, 1978, and you can pick it up on YouTube, for Disney, and did a great album in 1978. Frank Renault, Seth Rye, and Lanny Davis did a special CD. Actually, it was a vinyl record at that time. So if you want to hear something so great, you will hear. Now, what Lowrey did is they dedicated sounds to certain organists, and they dedicated the sound of Frank Renault the way he set up the organ in all of the A bank. And I like to play this for you because this is kind of how I learned to play. So if you like to use nice organ sounds, use the A bank. All of them are just gorgeous. Just listen to them. Wow, that's the A bank. And if you use it for memorizing other settings, you're going to lose all of those beautiful organ sounds. Now, the next one is another one in the banks that nobody uses. And again, if I push B bank, if you love jazz organ and you love all the stuff, and we mentioned jazz organ for those of you that have been around a long time, oh, everybody used to say the Hammond sound. Well, the Hammond sound has been created even better on the Lowrey. And let me show you why. When you go over to the custom buttons on your left, if you push number 2, it's over all the way to the left, you will see on the screen the Hammond drawbars. And what's a drawbars? These are bars that come down to adjust the volume of the flutes. And you have a control of everything on here with this. And we can't get the camera close enough, but I'm going to give you a sound, and I'm going to change it by touching. I can adjust every flute sound from high to low. And that's what made the Hammond so successful. You can make a 16-foot flute sound very loud. You can make a 2-foot very soft, or vice versa. You can make a 1 foot louder. And with regular tab organs, you couldn't do that. So this is another one that really is great. And now, if you want, remember I probably played the Lenny D sound, and number 9 has the Lenny D sound, again, dedicating the Lenny D organist, and Lowrey did that. They always put in the instrument with the idea that they were going to copy some great organists for you. So that's the D bank. number 9 in the B bank. Now, C is your pipe organ again. This is all your pipe organ stuff. For those that like church, yeah, there it is. See that? That's nice. Circle that. Circle that one. That is one that I use all the time when I want to play jazz. So you could use that on B, number 9. The C is go for holidays, Christmas music, everything on there. Great sounds that you have. So C is all your pipe organ sounds. And again, you can actually see in the window, if you push number 2, how they set up every church organ sound for you. It's really cool. C, the Dbank, we'll go to D. This gives you strings and piano. Automatically, some great theaters. Piano and strings. So I use the Dbank for strings and piano. Now, what's really cool is when you go to the E, if you have it. Now, if you have a Prestige or anything less, you might not have the Ebank. I use Ebank because there's not many in there that are usable for what I like to do, but there might be. It's novelty sounds. But I use the Ebank for my recording, memorization. When I want to record something and put it on, leave it in there, I use the Ebank. I don't ruin A, B, C, and D. Just a trick to remember if you like to use the USB and you want to save some organ sounds, use the Ebank when you're using that for your changing or using something there. How we doing? Sean, anything going on that's questionable?
I think it's all just fine. Keep going. That's good. Does anybody have any questions or anything we've talked about? Some of those banks are really, really useful. I don't see any questions.
Are we okay?
We got one. Richard,
I've got test speakers and all that.
go ahead, Richard.
The host is not, I can't unmute.
You are unmuted. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me, okay. So I have a symphony,
Okay.
and when I hit bank A, it comes up Satin Doll. When I hit sang B, it comes up Begin to Begin, so it doesn't seem to be the same, or I'm doing something wrong.
Well, that's a good point. I think, Joe, you can answer that, right?
Bill?
Joe? I don't see him. Maybe he's frozen.
Joe's frozen.
That's possible.
Well, I can answer that, so that's fine. I can handle that one. Basically, what it is you have something memorized in that bank.
Not me, but
The banks.
I
Go
do
ahead.
have, well, I got test speakers, test mic.
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So the banks A through E, you have different things that you can put in there. So they're customizable. What he's talking about is what's built into them factory
Right.
settings. You have in the A bank, like you said, Lowrey sounds. Then the B bank is Hammond sounds. Then what a lot of people do is they use those banks to store things in, and you can do that, I'm sure. So what probably happened is somebody saved something in yours, and you gotta clear it out.
How do you do that?
Good question. That's an easy one. So this is the easy way, and you can all write this down if you want. This is the way to reset your bank presets, okay? It's super easy. You touch the button that says Memorize and hold it down. Then hit your reset button while you keep holding that button down.
Where
Okay?
is Memorize?
Wait for it to turn back on, and when it turns back on, it'll say Banks Reset. So it'll be back to these factory settings that he's talking about. Does that make sense?
Can you say that one more time for me?
Sure. You hold the Memorize button down and touch your Reset button on the bottom. And you keep holding that Memorize button down until it turns back on. And it'll say, Banks Reset. That's easy
Okay.
as 2 buttons. Boop, boop.
Thank you. I just have to find the Memorize button. but
Yeah,
that's
it's right
okay.
next to all those letters, A, B, C, D, E.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Martha, you got a question too? I'll unmute you. You can talk whenever. Martha?
Aren't the A's, I'm on now, I think.
Yep.
The A through E buttons, aren't they on your category presets also? And it
It
says
depends on the
they
model.
never can be changed on the not the Liberty, the Patriot.
Yep, the
I have
Patriot,
A through
you have
E.
yeah, the
And
Patriot, you
they're-
do have a category that kind of backs up all those
Right.
banks, A through E, yes.
Okay.
And I believe that starts on the Imperial. So if you have anything above that, you'll have all those banks stored for you. So you can save things in those banks if you want, and you have them backed up in the categories. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me all right, Sean?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, the one thing you have to do is, as Sean said, is you have to reset the banks to utilize what the factory put in there. Just remember that. If you lose those in there, then you have to put them back. Otherwise, you're using only what you stored or somebody stored in there. And I don't do that. I want to keep those beautiful sounds there. And then I clear it and put it on a USB and not leave it in there. Or I use Ebank, if you have it, to store stuff so that I could keep my A, B, C, and D sounds beautiful. Okay?
All right, Terry has a question as well.
Sean, do you have the?
We got a couple more questions. Terry, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. No, what I was thinking about before when the fella said that he didn't have the preset info. I know you have to make sure the custom number 4 button is hit. And then
Yeah.
all those, yeah, I wasn't sure if he knew that.
Yeah, that's the way to look at everything you have.
Yeah. Okay, that was it. Yeah.
It just displays it on the screen. And Gary, go ahead, Gary.
The computer.
Oh, you're muted, Gary. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now? You're good now. I can hear you. Nope. You just muted yourself again. I can't hear you, Gary. I have to unmute still. I pressed unmute for you, and then I think you hit the mute button when I pressed that.
Are you there?
There you are. I hear you now.
Sorry.
That's okay. We deal with it.
Is that my other computer? Am I in echo?
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. There we go. Okay. Okay, you there now? I'm sorry. Dbank. What? You didn't mention anything about Dbank, did you?
Yeah, he went through it quickly. It was the symphonic sound. I can display it on the screen in a second.
Unmute yourself. Okay. Hello. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I heard you. The Dbank.
Did you mention, Joe? Did you mention anything about Dbank? Dbank.
Joe?
Not C.
What was the question?
The Dbank. He was asking if you covered the Dbank.
Oh.
If you could cover it a little more.
The Dbank?
Oh, here, wait a minute. Okay, here we are. I'm sorry, I'm messing everything up. Hello?
I hear you.
The Dbank is the symphonic sounds.
Symphonic, okay.
And that would be more of your theater organ, your classical organ sounds.
Okay, thank you.
That was the ugliest circle I've ever drawn there.
And if you,
Helen, you have a question as well? We'll do one more question and then we'll get back to the class here. So, Helen?
Yeah, the Ebank is the novelty bank, and of course, if you like to use but if you've got 5 banks, I've saved E as being the one that I can change registrations, and that's the one that I use. You could use any one of them. I'm just saying, if you like nice organ sounds, those are the ones that I would use for that. Okay.
So one more question and we'll move on. Helen?
Yes. Do you have to use a rhythm style along with the bank setup?
That's a good question.
No, you don't. You can, but you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
That would make just use easy play button and
you do
play
what?
your song. So it is. You can have most of the organ players way back didn't have the automatic rhythms. They just played the organ and had a nice chord, and you will sound great. You want to sound professional. You don't have to worry about rhythm, a lot of waltzes, a lot of slow songs. You don't need that rhythm to get to learn. Now, once we get going into part two, then of course, then we get into something totally different. But the banks are really geared for you playing very nicely without the rhythm.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's move on for now, and we'll get to any other questions sort of toward the end here. Keep going.
Sean, did you get the one for custom preset?
You bet.
On A series? If not, I won't. I'll
Category,
send it
you
to
mean?
you, okay?
Did you mean category, Joe?
Oh, yeah, that's what we want. There, perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. The next group of one would be your category presets. Now, some of you might have 2, some of you might have 3, some have 5. Then you have a more category, which you get. Category presets, again, is you being the organist and picking the sound you enjoy. Category presets are really cool, but the one you got to remember is the first one, theater. Theater, when you push theater, it's the only one that doesn't give you the lower keyboard changes. Many people don't know that. The theater one has the same sound on the upper keyboard and the lower. It doesn't split it. So if you push theater and you play, it just will give you both organ sounds on the upper and lower. It doesn't split it. So just remember that. I've had people call me and say, how come I don't have a different sound on the lower keyboard? I said, which one did you use? And they said, I used category. In the category presets, I use theater. So just remember that. That's the one that doesn't change the lower keyboard. Keeps you the same organ sounds. Okay? Then as you go through country, and incidentally, in the country, this is one you want to mark down, and it's in one of my sheets that we have available. In the country, number 9, Floyd Kramer sounds for you. So if you like the piano player, Floyd Kramer, use number 9 in the country. Okay, I'm giving you some secrets here, okay? Now, the one that is really the best of all of them in category presets, and if you don't have it, call me up and we'll get you an organ that will have it, because this is the best one of all. It's in novelty, what we call nostalgia. I call it novelty, but it's called nostalgia. And what it is, if you look in the window, this will give you all of the great solo players like Benny Goodman, Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey. It'll give you all of them in this. So this is the one that you would use. If I wanted to play Harry James, I'm using nostalgic and if I wanted to have Benny Goodman, okay, if they even have Boots Randolph in there, then they even have Liberace in there. And they even have another great band, which is forgotten, and you should mark this one down for New Year's Eve. This is the band of Guy Lombardo, his program in there. Now, maybe some of you young people might not know who Guy Lombardo, but he made one famous song and it was Old Lang Syne. And his sound was a very, very squeaky kind of saxophones that were quivering when he played. So if you like, save that one for New Year's, everybody will say, oh, I remember that sound. So that's in the nostalgic category that's in there. So that's just some of the ones that I think are very, very great for everybody. Any questions on that for Sean?
Any questions on the category presets? I think we're good on that. Do you have a question, Cecil? I guess keep going on.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going back again to, I don't get the reset of my memorized A1, A and all those. I couldn't get it to reset my Lowrey original sounds. I did memorize, like you said, and I touched the reset button. Is that the reset button from the main organ reset?
Correct. And you have to hold down that memorize button. So you touch memorize, hold it down.
I touched memorize, and then I touched reset.
You hold down the memorize button.
I do. I am. And then I go back and I see every single one. I go to A and I see the Phantom is there.
Okay, I'll call you a little bit after this and walk you through it just to make sure.
Yeah, this is weird because I can't get the previous, somebody said everything in my organ to some things before when I got it.
There's another way to do it in your feature menu. If you go to the feature menu, if that.
Yeah, why don't you talk to me later?
I will. I'll do that. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, yeah. Resetting is very, very important if you're going to use any of these banks that were factory. What you've done is put your organ right back as though it came out of the box from the factory. And some people don't forget to do that, and they store things and then are hearing strange sounds that somebody else might have put in there over a time period. So I do that all the time. I reset the keyboard all the time, okay? One of the things that happened, I forgot to mention, we had a storm here, and everything kind of shut down real quickly with a kind of a spark explosion with the storm. And I think that's why we ended up having a technical problem here. And I apologize, but happened about an hour ago that everything shut down and then popped back up. We lost our electricity. So that changed the settings for everything. So I apologize again. I hope you're hearing me okay. Sean, there's this one called Special Soloist Features on the Lowrey A. You have that sheet for me?
There it is.
Now, this is a sheet I put together of just picking some of the special things that are available on the Series A. And then I went into some of the things that we call signature arrangements. And some of you will have those. If you've got the Symphony or the Prestige Plus or the Legend Plus, you will have some of those. There are a few of the smaller ones in the A series, but this gives you some of the great ones that are in there. And I went through a couple of people here. Again, I mentioned Frank Renault, number one, because in fact, way back when, if you hear me okay, I owned a Lowrey store here in Bradenton in Sarasota and opened in 1975. And when I had my grand opening, who came to play and do my grand opening was Frank Renault. So he was the organist that I had in my store way back in 1975. And then afterwards, you can see next to it where you can find Frank Renault's settings in the sheet. It says there, on Bank A, A0, and any of the ones from A1 through 10 are all the beautiful Frank Renaud's organ settings. Number 2 that I have is Lenny D, and Lenny D, if you like him, is in bank B, B9. So if you go to B9, you will be playing the Lenny D style. Also, if you've got specials, in special, and you look that up, you will see it says Lenny D Light, and that'll give you all of the Lenny D organ sounds, okay? So I'm just giving you hints. Now, there was an organist in Chicago called Jesse Crawford, and Jesse Crawford played downtown Chicago, and again, Lowrey featured his organ sound. And believe it or not, it's the easiest one to pick. Don't turn on the organ, push number 6, general preset, and you have Jesse Crawford's sound. Now, what he did is he had a reach that was very long so that nobody could really play his stuff because you had to have 2 hands. Lowrey put in harmony for that so that you can get with 1 finger, put on easy play. So you will have the the Jesse Crawford. Now, one other trick to that, if in harmony, if you really want to be great with sound like him, go to harmony more, write it down, it says there, and you can go to 4-card or 5-card harmony, and you will have him playing his both hands on the upper keyboard. It's so great. Here's 5-card harmony, and listen to what this sounds like. Beautiful, beautiful. So there you can have the Jesse Crawford style. Now, there is another one that, again, Lowrey dedicated its organ to. Many people don't know this. There's a guy by the name of Walter Wonderly. Now, what the heck is that? Well, you can find him as an organist in the special category, and if you look up special, you will see the word wonderful.
Hey Joe, when you talk, can you face the Joe? When you talk, can you face the computer a little bit more? I can't hear you.
Nova songs from Summer Samba, Meditation, Girlfriend Ipanema, and his style was unbelievable, and it sounded like this. So that was the style of the 60s, the bossa nova, and we put that in there, dedicating it to Walter Wonderly as an organist. And of course, we also put in there sounds for Liberace. If you've got the setting and in the music style of called Mr. Showman, there's 2 of them. There's one that's called Candelabra, and the other one called Mr. Showman. Actually, Mr. Showman is the better of the 2, and you will actually have Liberace. Now, what Liberace's sound is, he played the piano in octaves. In other words, if he played C, he also played C on top and filled it in with a chord, and that setting does it for you. So that's Liberace. Okay, so it's in music styles. You can go there and you can find it in special music styles, and you can find Mr. Liberace's settings right there. Okay. Don't have to change anything. Just play 1 finger. got Liberace with just one finger playing his full octave chord. So that's Mr. Showman. Okay, these are some of the great organists that were put in this that people forgot. And we actually dedicated sounds to special organists. And another one we have is Ethel Smith. Ethel Smith is under Ethel Fast Latin. You could slow it up. And she was played because she was known for Tico Tico, Flight of the Bumblebee, Kumana, which is what she played. So Kumana was that was Ethel Smith. And again, just by pushing that, you have it. Then we get into Floyd Kramer. I've already discussed him. And now we get into what is up to date, which is called signature styles. Signature styles, depending on your instrument, the more signature styles you have. What is a signature style? It's a song that has an intro that will sound just like the song itself. So, and we have different artists that I featured here. And you can see I featured Glenn Campbell, Dolly Parton, Mills Brothers, Doris Day, Oscar Peterson, Barbara Streisand, Engelbert Humperdinck, I would ever hate to have a name like that, Michael Bublé, Anne Murray, Neil Diamond, Nat King Cole. Just think about all of those people that we have. Look at that. Those are all the names that those songs, if you go to those songs and have that in your instrument, you will be doing the arrangement of Barbara Streisand, the arrangement of Anne Murray, and so forth. Then we get into the final thing. We have time? Okay, last thing is what we call orchestras and bands. This is another one that's forgotten, orchestras and bands. Now, again, I already talked about the nostalgic category, but then we get into the orchestras and bands. The first one that it was ever put in there was Glenn Miller. And of course, all you had to do was pick the big band, and that was it. And then you had the style that was Glenn Miller, and you had two styles of Glenn Miller in there. People didn't know that. There's a fast one and there's a slow one. And if you look up Moonlight Serenade, you will have that slower version of Glenn Miller's orchestra. And you can play any of his slower songs that he did. And the one that's forgotten, and not done, I don't know if any of you are still watching Lawrence Welk, but again, that's another one that's kind of fun. And when I was traveling for Lowrey, I always used to open because everybody would say, I'd like to tell you, because I worked with Bob Ralston from the Lawrence Welk Show, and all of you should know the Lawrence Welk Sound. And of course, the Lawrence Welk Sound was the champagne style that everybody used to hear when they played the instrument. So, so there is that. That's under champagne, okay? And then we have the Tijuana Brass that was put in there. We had Henry Mancini's orchestra. The Harmonic Cats, that's one that's forgotten. So if you pick the song and it's in your song selection, Peg of My Heart, you actually have the Harmonic Cats, the original group. And I don't know if any of you remember him, but that was 4 harmonicas from a bass one to a soprano to a tenor, and then an alto harmonica, and they blended it together, and they had a hit song called Peg in My Heart. And then Joanne Castle, if you have ragtime under honky tonk, you actually are playing the piano like just single note, like Joanne Castle from the Lawrence Walk Show. So that is kind of the summary of some of the things that are forgotten. I call this workshop a forgotten sounds of the A series, and then some of the newer stuff. Okay? I have questions there, Sean.
All right, let's answer any questions real quick and then do some announcements. I see Charlotte Hunter's hand is raised, so I'm going to click on you and see if you had a question still. Are you there, Charlotte? This might be one of your first classes here. I'll go over to Cecilia while you unmute here, but Cecilia, do you still have a question?
I'm here, Sean.
Okay. What's your question?
This is Charlotte Hunter.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, I'm in Texas.
Oh, hi.
I joined a little bit, just got on, so I wasn't sure if this is the part of the Liberty class. Is this part of the Liberty class as well?
All this stuff is on the Liberty that he's talked about so far too, so yes. It's a part of the A series, yes.
Okay, I just joined, and this is my first time joining you all.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Cecilia, we'll go to you. If you want to unmute yourself there. Cecilia. Okay, well, let's move on. Now let's do some announcements. Is Robert available for that, or should I? I don't know.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there.
I am here. Oh, let me put on my other face. This face better?
Well, I don't know about that, but it's good enough.
All right. Hello, everybody. Before I do, I did see one more hand. Inez, you have a question?
When Joe is using bank presets, general presets, category presets, you always have easy on?
Depends on the player.
Okay.
It depends on how you play. So if you're a one-finger player, two-finger play, if you play the easy play chords, then yes.
I get it. Okay, I got it.
If someone plays traditional, then they don't need to. So it really depends on the player's hour you're playing. Sometimes I actually play with it on, sometimes I play with it off. All right. Very good. Well, thank you. We hope you enjoyed the class today, and we did have some technical issues. I saw a few comments with the sound. What happens is that we have to have the sound connected to our audio device, and if it's not, it's running through the computer, and for some reason the audio is not correcting properly. But what I noticed as he was teaching was hopefully the information that he was displaying up there was good, and you'd have that. We might have to ask Joe to teach this again in the future when we get the sound back, so then you'll get a recap on it. So anyway, this week, Wednesday, Thursday, are variety class. We have tomorrow. I'll be teaching those this week. This Friday, we're going to have Zoom musical with none other than this guy. And many of you have seen Sean behind the scenes here helping out. He actually did a couple of, he spotlighted video back on me. He doesn't want to be the star at the show a minute. Let me put
I
it.
don't like seeing myself.
There he is. There he is. Well, Sean, we did a sort of a concert with him back about a month and a half ago or so with someone else, but he only did a couple numbers. And then in some of our shows, he's done one number. But we said, you know, we have to play a full show. So, and many of you don't know, but this young man has some talent, and he is going to be playing on one of his favorite Lowrey models. So stay tuned in for that. You've been emailed. I've had the notifications. That's happening this Friday. And last but not least, we have, as we announced last week, we had a record-setting 300 plus attendees on our last Zoom musical, which was really great. And we want to keep that going, so spread the word. But we have some phenomenal opportunities happening since our announcements last Friday. We have had a lot of orders placed at pricing that's been very economical and affordable to many. So I'm insisting that our staff members reach out to you. And so with that said, that's all my announcements for today. Maybe, Joe, we can try to play a little number, quick little ditty. You could turn up the organ a little bit on your end, Joe, because we're going straight to the computer. Keep in mind that the sound's not going to be 100%, but it'll be what we can do for now. We'll talk to you soon. Go ahead, take it over, Joe, before I hit end on the recording.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Good class.